So we're painting the boat. A couple years ago, we hired a small painting crew out of Port Townsend who came and faired and primed the boat. This was a huge task that took them probably 6 weeks to get done.
Once most of the composite build modifications were complete, we were all set to dive into the painting process. First, we had to take off all the old decals, and then we sanded the entire boat to create a surface that would help the primers and fairing adhere better. Smalls and his team generously applied gallons of fairing to the boat, especially in areas where I had made significant changes. This included the aft quarters and the new cockpit and doghouse. After all the fairing was sanded smooth, we cleaned up the boat and sprayed on a medium build primer called Hullguard Extra. We weren't planning to paint for a while after this, so it was kind of a protective coat to shield the fairing from UV rays, but also a coat that could be sanded out to make the boat even more fair and smooth.
And now they're back to finish the job. The color we chose is kind of a seafoam green. Dave from All Grip came over and brought us a sample panel so we could see what it looked like.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Hey!
Here we go.
Oh, wow.
We sat with this choice for a few weeks and decided to go with it. It certainly helped that you guys seemed to really like it too. Now, about a year and a half later, we are ready to complete the job. The coats of Hullguard that are on top of the fairing and the old paint need to be sanded smooth. This process fills in most of the pits, holes, and scratches left behind by the fairing and the old paint. It also provides a smooth, prepared surface for the next layers of primer. The fairing and priming process makes the surface smoother, more uniform, and eventually as perfect as we have time, patience, and money for. The painting process raises a philosophical dilemma for me when it comes to boat projects like this. The question is, do I prioritize perfection? There's a practical reason for striving for a perfectly uniform paint job, free from pits, scratches, hollows, lumps, or bumps. These imperfections can lead to water, salt, dust, mold, and potential damage to the coatings. Hollows in the deck can cause puddles that blister the paint and exacerbate mold and scum issues. However, I also don't want a flawless boat and paint job that I've invested countless hours and dollars in, only to obsess over every minor scratch. We plan to use this boat extensively, encountering various challenging docking situations, sailing through debris-filled areas, dropping tools on the deck, launching and stowing dinghies, and having kids bump into everything with their own toy boats. Don't get me wrong, I want it to look great, professional, and something that the family can be proud of. After all, we are spending years and thousands of dollars to bring this boat to the water, so I don't want to be careless with it. But I also don't want to freak out when it's bumped into occasionally. I genuinely try not to conform to the yachting culture of perfection. We often discuss the small imperfections I notice on the boat that make it more charming and give it character. All this to explain that I need to find a balance between achieving ultimate perfection and ensuring the boat's practicality and utility, where we'll be content with our ambivalence. Ask anyone who has taken the time to paint their own boat above the waterline, and they'll tell you it's like 98% in the prep work. The more prep work is done, the better it looks. And there are so many corners and edges and nooks and crannies that the job requires a ton of sanding by hand. Fingers are sanded raw to detail all the places a sanding machine can't get into. I can pontificate endlessly about the struggle between perfection and utility, but what is really most important is that the paint sticks to the boat for many years to come. And that means every little corner and radius must be sand prepped and then cleaned really, really well.
Sorry, I'm getting in your way.
After about a week, the crew had finished sanding the whole guard extra. As you can see, the fairing and glass were coming through in a lot of places, which is fine. We'll be covering all that up again with finish primer. And now we mask. Everything we don't want primed is masked off with tape and plastic. The Permatique deck, the pedestals, lockers, windows, hatches, deadlights, and waterline were all masked well.
Yeah, this one is a lot sticky.
Get the rest under here.
Lastly, we cleaned. It's so important for no dust or contamination to exist on the boat. Anything left will just get in the way of good adhesion. So I vacuumed the whole boat, then blew it off with compressed air. Then we wiped it with dry rags, and lastly we wiped it again with denatured alcohol to pick up any last bits of dust.
It's hot as hell in here. So stay tuned. Next week we get to put the final coat of primer on the boat before the last paint job is done.